Please rise for the presentation of colors by the Smithsonian Honor Guard and the singing of the national anthem by renowned opera singer Liesl Odenweller, with accompaniment by Chris Ho. Please welcome the director of the National Postal Museum, Alan Kane.
What, wasn't she great? Liesl, stand up again, Liesl. Well, good evening. Welcome to the Smithsonian National Postal Museum. We're here tonight to celebrate with many people who have made the William H. Gross Stamp Gallery a reality. Unfortunately, our MC and comedian, John Panette, took ill and would not be here tonight. I told my wife I'm going to practice my one-liners, and I won't tell you what she said. It was not polite, I have to be honest with you. But the show must go on. Last night, two distinguished philatelists were awarded the Smithsonian Philatelic Achievement Award. at a reception for several hundred people. They are here tonight. David Beach and George Kramer, will you please stand up? Putting together all the moving parts around building the world's largest stamp gallery was really a very challenging project. 7 years of selecting, researching, and cataloging over 20,000 objects, 4 years of conservation and object preparation. 3 years to mount the objects on boards to put in the pull-out frames. By the way, if the boards in the frames downstairs, or upstairs, excuse me, are laid end to end, they're 3.5 times the size of the Washington Monument. 3.5 times the size, to give you an idea how much material is there. And Windows into America had to be approved by 3 historical commissions. This was accomplished in 3 months. 3 months. You know how difficult it is in this town to get anyone to agree on anything. 3 months. For the first time in history, a world-class museum wing has been built and paid for mainly by philatelists. You guys collect small stamps, but you have a big heart. Yes, this was difficult and a challenging project. What I didn't realize at the beginning was that it really could never have failed. It could never have failed because God was looking over the Gross Gallery, and she's a stamp collector. Yes, she is a stamp collector. How come all the women always like that line? I don't quite get that. Anyway, now it's my pleasure to introduce the Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, Dr. Wayne Clough.
Thank you, Alan, for the introduction, and thanks to you and your staff and your curators and all the folks who have come together to make this night possible in such a glorious way. Let's give them all a great hand. I remember about 4 years ago when Alan came into my office and kind of sheepishly said we had an opportunity to move the museum to the first floor. And he said he didn't quite know where he was going to get the funding for it. And my only response was, let's do it, because I thought it was a fabulous opportunity. So welcome all of you in attendance today. This event obviously is a celebration of philately and a testament to philanthropy. We could not have welcomed this newest edition of the Smithsonian without all of you. Thank you very much. Now, my good friend and a friend of many of you, U.S. Postmaster General Patrick Donahue, who is here, who we all know is one of the greatest public servants of this country. So, Patrick, thank you for being here. For 238 years, the U.S. Postal Service has been the lifeblood of communication and commerce in our country. We thank them for being such a vital partner in this postal. And of course, I have to give special welcome to Bill and Sue Gross and their family. The place will be a standard by which all other stamp galleries will be judged. Bill's passion for stamps and his passion for generosity have come together on behalf of the great Smithsonian Institution. Tonight, they write a new chapter that's starting with this museum and this tremendous gallery, which really is stunning. It's the first time I've seen it in its entirety, that bears Bill's name. Bill, thank you very, very much. In many ways, the National Postal Museum is a microcosm of the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian touches on history, technology, culture, art, all integral to the development of the mail system that parallels the progress of our great nation. The Postal Museum uses its 6 million objects to provide an incredible learning opportunity, not just for stamp enthusiasts, but for people of all ages, from all walks of life, and from all over the world. And now, this breathtaking new gallery is the crown jewel of the Postal Museum. Certainly it is a wonderland for philatelists, but it is also an invitation for all visitors to discover the stories that some of the world's rarest, most prized, and most important stamps have to tell. The Nicaraguan stamp in the World of Stamps section depicts an erupting volcano. In 1902, Congress was debating whether or not to build a big construction project called a canal from one sea to the other in Nicaragua or Panama. The site of the volcanic activity on the stamp, which an innovative lobbyist brought to their attention, convinced Congress that building next to volcanic activity was not a good idea, which is why we now have the Panama Canal, not the Nicaragua Canal. It's one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. This little stamp changed history. The lunar mail cover from Apollo 13 astronaut Dave Scott in Gems of Philately is emblazoned with a postmark from the moon. The most prized American stamp, of course, is the inverted Jenny from 1918. And this has to be one of the most profitable mistakes in history. And now visitors from America and around the world will profit from being able to see a block of 4 of these incredibly rare stamps that Bill has loaned us. Now, many people know Bill as an expert in the bond market. We see him on television. His ability to take the long view has paid off time and again, earning him the title the Bond King. So it's perhaps surprising that after college, Bill actually spent 4 months playing blackjack, where he turned $200 into $10,000. Story of his life. Seems like a more risky endeavor to me, but clearly Bill knew what he was doing. Following his tremendous success in the bond market, Bill took to heart the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? It is a question that Bill and Sue have answered most emphatically, donating millions of dollars to medical research, to global health, to universities and nonprofits. Bill and Sue, on behalf of the Smithsonian, thank you so much for what you've done for this amazing institution. And now I would like to ask Bill to come to the stage. So from one great American to another, this is a little token that we want to give Bill, and maybe I should step here. Okay. This is a desk, and it's a precise replica of the desk that Thomas Jefferson designed from scratch and had built so he could write the Declaration of Independence on it. And it's called the world's first portable computer because being Thomas Jefferson, he built it so that he could put it into his the material, the carrying capacity he had with his horse. And so you'll see that this actually he had the ability to see 2 pages at a time, the way he designed this for himself. So it's a remarkable achievement, and it's intricately designed, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's emblematic of Thomas Jefferson and his amazing mind. So, Bill,
beautiful.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you, and it's an honor to be speaking before you. You know, somewhat, I suppose, little bit of a farce, but it's certainly an honor to have such a responsibility to come to honor this amazing, not only museum but gallery. Goodness, what did we like the most, guys? I don't know if we could. I don't know if we could list it. I think the novices like the interaction, the stories, the ability to go to your state or to your own individual item of interest, flowers, sports, whatever. And I think the philatelist probably enjoyed the rarities and the probably endless hours that you could spend in the gallery and of course in the museum for a long, long time. So it's fabulous. It's the first time I've seen it, and the family has actually seen it, although we've followed the progress for several years, and very proud to be associated. So thank you for allowing me to be here. I didn't plan this, but we've got some time. The comedian didn't show up, right? So. And we can put out the dinner for 5 minutes or whatever. So how does somebody become a stamp collector? Most of you know your own personal stories. Somehow it should grab you in your youth as opposed to in your adult years, although I know many of you started collecting in your 30s and 40s. For me, it started in my youth. It started when I was 10 years old in Menlo Park, California. I had 25 cents allowance. I rode my bike down to the stamp dealer, of which, in 1954 there were many, and now not so many, or hardly any, I guess would be the apt description. But I would ride my bike down to the dealer and spend the 25 cents most memorably on a 1 cent Colombian mint that was graded in fine condition. And so I asked the dealer, I said, this must be a really good stamp if it's in fine condition. And of course she responded and said, it's a really good stamp. But it's been in my collection ever since. I have a nicer 1 cent Colombian, but the old one. Anyway, so that's where it grabs you. And it also grabbed my mother. Many of you heard the story. I'll tell it quickly, but it's a true Jack and the Beanstalk story. She collected sheets of stamps. She went to the post office in the 30s and the 40s, and she bought every new commemorative that was issued for $3, right? Because they were all 3-cent stamps. And when it came time for me to go to college, when I was 17 and a half years old, and we were in San Francisco or outside the city, and I knew nothing about what she had done, but she came to me and she showed me, literally cases and pounds of 3-cent commemorative stamps, and said, Bill, as in Jack and the Beanstalk, that this is your college education. Take them into the city, like Jack with his beans, and sell them, and what you get in terms of the proceeds will be your college tuition. And I was going to Duke, and I was excited about, now all of a sudden my parents didn't have to worry about paying for college. I took them into San Francisco. At the time, there were 4 stamp dealers in San Francisco. Took them to every one, asked them what they would give me for the collection, and of course, as you know, each one of them said that the stamps weren't worth the 3 cents that they were printed on. I took them home and entered the house with the stamps, and I surprised Mother and said, Mom, these stamps aren't worth beans. And of course, that was a totally depressing moment. And as the story goes on, we didn't sell the stamps. We came up with the money. At some point, I got a half scholarship, and the Duke education continued. But later on, when I was 42 or 43, I said, she had the right idea. collecting stamps, and yes, she collected stamps for a profit, and I was a bond person, and so that was my orientation. I said, but the problem was she just didn't buy the right stamps. She bought the common commemoratives. She didn't buy the rare ones, and so I hooked up with someone and a couple that knew stamps, the Shreves, and got going in 1992 and 93 and applied, as some of you know, some mathematical and bond type of research to the collecting of rarities for the last 20 years. And I think it's been sort of successful. Some of the sales, I remember the first sale of the GB collection that I sold, and a reporter came up to me after the sale, and I said, wow, collecting stamps is better than buying stocks in the stock market. And indeed it was, because those stamps that I had bought were worth 3, 4, 5 times the price that I had paid. So and that's the investing side of the stamps, but literally there's another side to stamps, and it was the side as a 10-year-old where I rode my bike down to the stamp dealer to fill in one of those spaces with a not a very fine stamp or an extra fine stamp or a superb stamp, but a fine stamp, and that was enough for me, and so I think. In terms of the museum and the gallery, that the combination of those two people, a combination of the 10-year-old child who had an enthusiasm for collecting stamps, and maybe the 40-year-old and the 50-year-old and the 60-year-old that tried to apply a mathematical context to the investing side of it. Perhaps that combination is sort of what embodies the museum and the gallery. Not entirely, because the philatelic side, which as many of you know, I'm not an expert in terms of philatelics. I know the differences, but I don't know what you know or what most of you know, and so. I think in terms of stamp collecting in this museum and gallery, that the child, maybe the investor, maybe the philatelist, all in combination are what the museum was trying to create, and I think perhaps it has done that. But there's more. That's my personal story. You have all your stories as well, and. Indeed, most of you attending tonight deserve more applause and more naming rights than I do, and that my wife Sue and I do. We simply wrote a check to tell you the truth, and so in modern life, the naming rights sort of go to the check writer, and that's really not the way it should be. But there's only space for so many names up here or around here, but all of you out there know who you are, and I might just mention a few of your names, and if I don't mention your name, like I told Charles this evening, you can blame it on him, because he supplied most of the names. Many of you I've met, but Charles is more intimately connected with the construction and the building and the putting together of the gallery and the museum. So Charles, in part, this is your fault. Anyway, the names are Sennett and Smith and Hoffman and Gans and Shreve, Porterfield, Shreve, 2 Shreves, Charles and Tracy, Clough, of course, Donahoe, Byrne, Marcellus, Sundman, my old, I was going to say my old nemesis, but it's not Batman and the Joker. He's my old trading partner. That was a wonderful trade for both of us, right? And I'm sure he's happy with his block, and I'm happy with my Z grill and Sue is happy with her 1 peso grill, and so life works out in a win-win situation sometimes. So thank you very much for that. King and Eubanks, Kane, of course, Hagendorf, Kramer, Whitman. These are a lot of the names that you're all out there, and some of you I haven't mentioned. And like I say, those of you that I haven't, you just come up to Charles afterwards and give him a lick. Anyway, I also want to thank my family and their wife and partners for being here. Jeff, who's playing hooky from filming an NFL game, which he always does on Sundays, not the Cowboys this time, but it would have been another game. Jen, who has come here straight from the UN in New York. Thank you, Jen. And Nick, who's our touring rock star, who's missing a concert tonight in the Northeast. So thank all of you. My wife, Sue, of course, brings all of this together. She's the creator, as you know, of the, or maybe you don't know, but it's in the gallery of the infamous 1 peso Z grill. Which to me is as priceless as the Z grill that now is in my collection. And so thank you to Sue, to family, for being here, and thank all of you for for attending and honoring not me, but the creators of this gallery and museum, and honoring yourself. Really, thank you. And let me just finish by elaborating on what I think the gallery wanted to embody, and what I think it does embody after witnessing the various pieces tonight. When you think about it, I don't think that I'm actually an inappropriate example of what the museum was trying to do, because, as I mentioned, when it comes to stamps, I'm not really a philatelist, but I'm a little more than a stamp collector. And a philatelist, for instance, would be able to describe the C3A in amazing detail, be able to list all of the positions on the plate block, and to run a novice up and down silly in terms of the details of that particular issue. A stamp collector would simply call it the inverted Jenny. And here's the catch and the kicker and the hoped for conclusion of what you've done here. A novice, an adoring new audience, a child, instead of the inverted Jenny or the philatelist description in terms of plate position, would simply describe the stamp as that upside down airplane. Would they not? And that, I think is the mystery and the beauty of the combination of this gallery and this museum, the combination of philatelist, the combination of stamp collector, the combination of the child to come that simply thinks of the inverted Jenny as an upside down airplane, and boy, is that not the coolest stamp in the world. So I think, when you think about it, I'm sort of like all of those three. I'm a little philatelist, I'm a little bit of a stamp collector, and still a little bit of a child in me that says, I'd like to find that 10-cent Colombian again, whether it's fine or very fine or extra fine, I guess. And to describe this and to praise, I think, philatelists. Philatelists bring an authenticity to this art, do they not? They bring a certification, they bring a confirmation that speaks to something that rightfully will be associated with Smithsonian. That's the philatelist's responsibility. That's their charge. That's what they bring to this museum. A stamp collector, I think, brings it to life. They bring a common man, a common woman, a common, childlike connection that extends its longevity once the spirit in the museum has been born. And this is the birthing of that museum. Philatelists, will record and rightly preserve in the history of U.S. stamps and other countries, through their research, intensive pursuit of the details, and the nuances of individual issues. That's their charge, and we need them desperately in terms of preserving the history of this particular art. But stamp collectors bring an oxygen and a certain energy, to the art as well. And so the combination of the two, bring this building, bring this art, to life. And together, I think, philatelists, collectors, the novice public, the children, will unite to make this museum the important Smithsonian milestone that all of us hope it will be. So I'm proud to attach my name to it. I wish I could attach more of your names to it. And I'd say congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your help, your participation. I'm just one of many. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. And after dinner, Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe will be making a special presentation. Thank you.